Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi.
Good
Thanks for
afternoon.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's amazing. Another day, another live.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And today is awesome. We've been doing a lot of work in our communities and
Mhm.
outreaching to some of our community members. We have partners in Southern Ontario with Gana Learning Center, or Family Learning Center,
Mhm.
and even at Anishnabeg Outreach. Like the first time I visited your center in Kitchener. Is it Waterloo or Kitchener? I always get that mixed up.
We're in Kitchener.
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 Yeah, and I know that because Waterloo's always farther. My aunt lives there, but I just loved the space. I loved the
Mhm.
space, and then the more that I've visited and gotten to know some of the people that are involved, you guys just are doing all kinds of amazing things and
Mhm.
have been for quite some time. So I'm excited to bring you on our platform so that you can
Mhm.
share and share who you are and your
Mhm.
story. And hi, Sherry. It's always lovely to see you,
Hello. Yeah.
even though I've seen you 4 times already today.
I know, I know, I know, I know. But it's so wonderful to have, to know that, all the partners that we're working with, bringing community together is so important. And you know that as well. So we're honored and it's a privilege to have Steve Jackson here. He is the CEO of Anishnabeg Outreach. And so he's here to tell us a little bit about what Anishnabeg Outreach is, how long they've been in business, what they're doing, and all the wonderful, exciting things that's happening in Kitchener. So welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry, and also Jody and everyone else that's on the call today. Before I get started with Anishnabeg Outreach, and I'll get there in a couple of minutes, I wanted to start with reconciliation. And I start with reconciliation because every single thing that we do is really in response to reconciliation. And many of us, or all of us, are well aware of all the negative outcomes that impact Indigenous people. And those negative outcomes are, the number of more than 30% of people in jail are Indigenous. When we look at our region, it's more than uh, 50%, and it's really about 75 to 90%, depending on where you're at, of children in care are Indigenous. 50% of our homeless population is Indigenous. And dropout rates for Indigenous people in high school is 500% higher for Indigenous versus non-Indigenous. And we know about addictions and suicides and all the other issues, right? And when I look at those issues, and those are systemic issues that have been created by society, what I look at is how do we go about fixing them? And then I really like reconciliation as a model. And I realize that this reconciliation, or the latest iteration of it, is just the latest in a long stream of things that the government has put together to deal with all of those outcomes. But when I think of those outcomes are actually caused by trauma or intergenerational trauma, and they are also caused by lack of healing. And so the reason I love reconciliation as a framework is, or as a model, I suppose, is the way Justice Sinclair described it. He described it as, well, as part of truth and reconciliation. Truth had to come out, and then it was healing and justice, and that's how he defined it. And there's a bunch of action items. I think the action items themselves are quintessentially useless, therefore organizations to feel good about themselves. However, when you look at the outcome aspect, which is either healing or justice, and you think about that for a minute, and you think about what justice is and what justice looks like, or the entire justice system, what that really means is if you're seeking justice, you will forever be stuck in the past, because that's where the event took place that you're seeking justice for. And justice will never be enough. You'll never be satisfied with whatever you get, and you'll always be stuck in the past at that event, and you'll never move over to healing. And without healing, all of those other outcomes come into play. And that's why I start with reconciliation before we go anywhere else. And when I look at reconciliation, if I or anyone had a magic wand and we said, okay, let's just heal all Indigenous people, and I'd say, where would we be? I would say would be nowhere, because all the systems are in fact broken. The barriers for Indigenous employment is in fact broken. Every single company has to be fixed. And until we do all of that work and work with the main systems, and the main systems I talk about would be police, would be family and children's services, healthcare, education. Until we work with those systems specifically to fix them so it's more accommodating for Indigenous people, we're not going to get anywhere. And that's true of every other company that's out there, whether they're sort of huge corporations like banks or little small retail stores. It's always prevalent. So when I look at reconciliation, the reason I like reconciliation is I view it as a contract. It's a contract between Indigenous and non-Indigenous. And what Sherry and Jody talked about at the beginning was all about partnership, and it is about partnership. And the only way we can solve these problems or these issues is by partnering with those bigger agencies that impact us, or partnering with organizations to help move the needle, move the needle on healing. And the other piece, and the reason I say it's a partnership between colonial and Indigenous people. And the only way you're going to solve this is by working together to come up with solutions, by partnering with agencies like Grandmother's Voice, Anishnabeg Outreach, and others, in order to achieve the outcomes that everyone's actually wanting to achieve, government, society in general. And I'll take it one step further for reconciliation. From my perspective, reconciliation is not achieved until Indigenous people have economic independence. And economic independence means that we're free to do anything, anywhere, forever. And if we're healed and if we are economically independent, we can have anything. I mean, the world is available to us. And that is probably the essence that will describe everything else that I'm about to share, because that's the basis for it and also the understanding for it. So who is AO, or Anishnabeg Outreach? We just refer to as AO. And AO is around since, I think it's about 2000 or 2001. And it started as an employment agency, went through a few iterations, but predominantly was in the employment and trading space. When I started 3 years ago, it's not so much that it was, we'd actually lost all of our funding my first day on the job. So we actually ceased to exist my first day. We've grown a lot since then, without a doubt. We managed to talk people off the ledge. But it's not a great space to start out in when you have no funding, and how do you go from there? Basically, we started building, and we bought a church from the Lutheran organization. They helped us purchase this place. It's a gorgeous, and churches are, I know people sometimes say we're anti-church or this or that. It's just a building. And if you have teachings, and depending on what your teachings are, I know that crosses are actually very similar to Medewan poles. And a lot of religions, when they saw all these Medewan poles planted across Manitoulin Island and other places, they thought, oh, look, they celebrate the same religion we celebrate. No, they're a Medewan pole versus a cross, but they look very similar. We have a giant cross on our property. It doesn't bother me. The space itself is amazing. And I will say that, and I think Grandmother's Voice is also going to discover this really soon, having a building or having a facility that can become your center is so amazing, because you can do so much other stuff with it. We now have medicine gardens that we've planted all over the property. We have berry gardens, we have food gardens. Very important for food sovereignty, of course. We have a pollinator garden. Everything that we do around here is very nature or land-based, because the land will, in fact, do the healing with us and for us. Very traditional. We built a healing lodge So traditional healing lodge. It was the first thing we built after the pandemic. We also built a teaching lodge. So it's a much larger structure. It has healing poles too, though. And then we built some wampum, which are really wampum trails. It was a 2-row wampum, was really about partnership, working together, working side by side, as well as a dish with one spoon wampum. And dish with one spoon is really about, well, if there's a dish at a big banquet and there's only one spoon, you all have to work together in order to eat, if that's the case. Some people have to clean, there's rolls, all the normal stuff, right? And we'll also build a friendship wampum at some point on our property or in our building. And it's important that what we do, everything goes back to that healing piece, right? So we look at our programming or our processes, and we look for funding that enables us to develop programming basically from birth to death and everything in between, with multiple overlaps. So as I described the programming that we've built already and our future programming that we're going to build, you'll see how these kind of all interrelate. But every single one of them are geared towards healing or geared towards helping with that economic independence piece. And one of the things, when I get back to reconciliation for a second, it's actually all about partnership. You need to partner with all the other organizations. While they have funding or they have resources, we have connections. And it's that pairing together that enables us to achieve different outcomes. So we spend massive amounts of time partnering. I think my staff say I should stop really talking about dollars we've raised or programs that we built. We should just count by how many partnerships we create a week, because it's pretty much that frequent. And I don't know how people find us, but they do. In terms of my background, I am Indigenous. I was part of the 60s scoop. And while my, I guess, records from the 60s scoop say I'm Métis, they also say I'm First Nation. So that's going to require more investigation, and we'll see where I end up landing at the end of the day. It's probably like everyone else's journey who's trying to rediscover their heritage. In terms of what we do, we started building an early on site, and early on is children 0 to 6. We have all kinds of different programming, land-based. As I say, we now have those outdoor structures, which is the healing lodge, a teaching lodge. We have fires. We do medicine walks, and everything we do is kind of integrated. We also launched more recently mental health, and it's not really called mental health, it's called wellness and healing. And there's just a myriad of programs associated with that, and we just keep on building those out. So there's the new programs that we're doing are art programs. We'll do beading programs. Some point in time, we'll get into moccasin making. We do baking, traditional cooking. We do yoga. Some point in time, there'll be martial arts associated with that. The sky is really the limit. We do counseling. We work with elders. We partner with Family and Children's Services. We partner with police. We partner with healthcare, with the governments, other counseling agencies to deliver out a fairly robust counseling process for Indigenous people. Because again, I think healing is really important, because once healing happens, all the doors and windows are open. You can actually do anything at that point in time. One of the more recent things we started doing was around vaccinations. Jody came to our center not too long ago to get vaccinated. Sherry, did you do that too? No? Not yet? Okay. The door's open, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if anyone's Indigenous and wants to vaccinate, they can just register with us. It's every Friday, and we have elder, of course, we have the fire. It's right now, with the weather being a bit more nice, we're going to start doing the vaccinations out in our teaching lodge. People actually love that. And for those that want to do healing lodges, once again, we're out of lockdown, we'll start offering that again. Yeah. And we also recently got funding for a multi-sport program. So as I was talking about ages and overlapping ages, so 0 to 6 is children, of course, but now we have the ability to start doing programming with 6 to 16 or 18. We have our employment agency Also, more recently, we launched a mentoring program. It's actually a tech mentoring program. And what we're doing is we're working with people from reserves as well as urban centers, and we're teaching technology. So university is often a barrier to education. What we've done is we've taken computer programming and broken it down into the two most important, I guess, streams of it. One stream is artificial intelligence, and that is only Python. So if you know how to do Python, you can do all kinds of artificial intelligence work across the country. It's like 10,000 jobs in it right now that are available. Same with mobile phone app development. That is either HTML, so web type stuff, combined with JavaScript. That equals how to do all your games on your phones and all those other things. And the mentoring program is going to be interesting because the tech jobs pay a lot of money and all the work is remote. So when we talked about economics independence, what we're really talking about is giving people an opportunity. And we partnered with the University of Waterloo. They provided the cloud-based online programming, but they've also provided tutors. The tech industry around us in Waterloo provides the mentors, and we have navigators that help people go through the process. And it's not just learning how to program, it's also all the other stuff. We partnered with a bank also, and the bank is going to provide us with all the wealth management and all of that, the life skills pieces, because I think we're not just helping people get a job, we're going to stay with those people and help them get promoted too. So the idea is we're taking a 4-year university degree and breaking it down into what is the bare minimum required in order to get an entry-level job. And then we'll give you the skills to get your second job, whether it's promotion or lateral transfer. And over time, this will reach about 10,000 mentees per year. So we're starting small, we're building it up. We're trying to get to about 1,000 this year, and then after that, we'll go up to about 10,000 a year. And that will create all kinds of opportunities. One of the things I love today, and it happens a lot with us, we met a woman, an Indigenous woman, a couple of days ago. She's going to join our programs, but she does beading, and she has all kinds of, she has a beading business too. And she has all kinds of beautiful beaded earrings that we've seen. And we're probably going to, one of the things we were planning on doing anyway was creating a marketplace for Indigenous crafts on our website so that people can sell things and we can market it across Canada or wherever we happen to market it in order to get income to Indigenous people who want to craft or do the other aspects of it. So just more programs. Everything that we build is really about how do we move the needle on healing? How do we move the needle on economic independence? And that's pretty much the basis of everything that we're doing. I think, and if I look forward, beside the multi-sport program and beside the mentoring program, once we get the mentoring program up and running, we're probably going to look at gaming somewhere down the road. And the reason I guess I'm on this call today was I met Jody and I met Sherry, I don't know, met Sherry a couple of years ago maybe, and Jody about a year or so ago. And as I talk about it, partnership is the most important thing. And we're both in the same business together. We're both in the business of helping Indigenous people and helping Indigenous people heal. With our mental health program, we started doing Zoom teachings. And anyone on this call can just register with us for the Zoom teaching. And it's with our knowledge keeper, Gerard, and it's on a variety of topics. There's a calendar on our website somewhere. And perhaps Jody can send out the website. It's aocan.org is what it actually is, but you can send that out to your participants. And anyone who wants to join the Zoom teachings, by all means, it's or any of the other programs that we do from a mental health perspective. Sometimes there's cooking. I think last week, Jess, who's the manager of that program, she was cooking fry bread to do tacos. So Indigenous tacos, right? From powwows. And it was sort of that traditional, it was things that came from her grandmother or her nana or whatever it happened to be. And it's Yeah, we do a lot of that stuff. And we have yoga programs starting. We'll get into martial arts eventually and a bunch of other sports stuff. If anyone has children who want to participate in that. Again, it'll be virtual, so it's pretty easy, right? One of the things that we've done at the beginning of this week, because this is Earth Week, is we started doing daybreak ceremonies. So we started, I think that was Monday and Tuesday, we did daybreak ceremonies, and there's teachings associated with those, of course. We have another one on Thursday. It's on Facebook Live for anyone who wants to participate. Just go to our Facebook page and they can join that way. The other thing that we're doing is, so that's at 7 tomorrow morning. At 8:10, we're on CBC Indigenous. Sorry, CBC Kitchener, not Indigenous. We'll see where that story ends up going eventually. And it's for our main Earth Day event. And that's on at 8:10 on CBC, although I think they keep on replaying that throughout the day. And then at 11:30 tomorrow, we're doing our main event. And our main event is something that we were gifted from the Creator. It was the Earth Blanket Awakening Ceremony. So back in the summer, I guess it was, when we did our first lodge, which was really the Healing Lodge. The Healing Lodge was interesting because it started out as a sweat lodge, and later on, as we were going through the build, it was built so easily. Our knowledge keeper asked us, "Would you rather have a healing lodge?" And so my board chair and myself looked at him kind of quizzically and said, "Okay, so what's the catch?" Right? Because you kind of want to know what is the catch when it goes from sweat lodge to healing lodge. Well, the catch was we weren't able to use it as a sweat lodge for a couple of years until it's done its healing, right? And so it's really his healing lodge going forward. On the positive side, he drives like 9 hours every week to get here to run the lodges and all the other pieces. That's 9 hours each way. He's from down in the States in Sault Ste. Marie area. The Earth, and really was the Healing Lodge led us to build the Teaching Lodge. And the Teaching Lodge, if you see any of the articles that we ever have written about it, was built by mayors, it was built by Indigenous people, it was built by MPs. The idea it was built by police, all kinds of different people came together to build that in partnership. And the partnership piece is the most important aspect of it. And while we had about 75 people help us build the Teaching Lodge, we also built the Wampum Trail that I talked about. It's about 125 feet long. We had about 400 people help us build that, because the idea is everyone got to lay a stone on this 2-row wampum, but they weren't laying stones, they were building a partnership. And when I describe the 2 lodges plus the wampums, those are pre-contact structures. They're structures that existed before contact, right? And as a consequence, we're able to start conversations anew and start partnerships in a different way. And that's the important thing. So many people want to partner with you and they want to take over, they want to do something, but they really want to own it. And that's not really the way that we need to be as Indigenous people or as Indigenous organizations. We need to be the lead on things that impact us and enable us to help Indigenous people. So critical. With the Earth Blanket Awakening, and that really took place around that time, we built the second lodge, which was the Teaching Lodge. We were gifted the idea that if you think about the pandemic and what the pandemic is or was, the pandemic basically caused everybody to stop around the globe. So last March, I was driving around, there wasn't a single car on the road in March, April timeframe. That's changed a bit now, but basically everyone had to hibernate. So I view the pandemic as a forced global hibernation caused by Mother Earth. And because it's a hibernation, people had to hibernate. People had to, connect with families. People had to disconnect from work and rebuild those relationships, and those relationships that were important. But because it was fall when we were about to do the ceremony, and fall's a time for hibernation, we couldn't offer it then. So we're going to offer it now in the spring. And the Earth Blanket, and people get to participate from anywhere in Canada they want to. Part of the participation will be flags, and flags are just going to be, you'll need 4 ribbons that you'll be able to tie together and hang from a tree. If you have seeds or plants that you have or want, you can plant plants during part of the ceremony, because again, the Earth Blanket is about that regeneration and about really regrowing and asking the land to help us heal and help us move forward. And I recognize there's vaccine out there, but the vaccine isn't going to stop all of the mental health issues or all of the other trauma that took place. We'll ask the land to do that, and we'll begin that, and organizations like ours will continue that through the teachings or through other elements. And I think that's, I don't know, did I forget anything?
Oh, no. I was like, I got to make sure he talks about this. Oh, he did. No, Steve, you're thorough.
Yes,
I love
thank
it.
you. That's
No,
a lot of stuff that's going on over at Anishnabeg Outreach, and just so that and we know how much work that you've put in, and also how much work we're putting into our own bricks and mortars as well. It is amazing to see that everything coming to fruition, what you guys have dreamed about and have wanted to offer to the community, which is absolutely fantastic. And I really, really like what you said earlier about self-determination, but also that we should also be just as successful as those other corporations or companies that are running and doing very similar work than you are. Congratulations. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. And I did forget that at some point I was out yesterday, and this is, I spoke with Jody early in the week on an unrelated set of topics. But I did offer medicine plants. So I was out at a garden. Yes, I've got medicine plants. I got buckets and buckets of medicines now. So we have sweetgrass, and we have sage for you. We have tobacco too. So you can plant all of that in your space. Actually, I think I even have a cedar tree if you want it. So there you go. You can have the whole set.
right on.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, it's yeah. Your space is wonderful. What you do over there is I think it's very innovative, inviting, very important. And I think that we have our conversations about the the synchronicity and the work that we do and the belief systems that we have. Really, for us in Halton, we're hoping that our community comes forward and steps into the space of this is for you. So let's build this together. These are our opportunities. We have these, the foundation of partners that are there that are already doing this, and and graciously sharing everything that you have with us to say we can do this together. We have to do this together, and
Right.
And that's so different than what the old systems are about, right? Like.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. It's we both have the same vision, and I recognize that I've been at this for 3 years. I know where you're at, but having some of those structures that you have in place now, I can't say how important it is for us to go together and build together, because it is about that healing piece, and it's about that economic independence piece.
Oh, and as an entrepreneur, I've always said you can't. Why do you want to choose that working alone? There's a reason you do certain aspects of what you do. You want to, but when you get to a specific level, and it's more about action and getting things done efficiently, and really that support the culture within your organization, you have to engage the community, and you have to engage the others out there that are looking to be engaged. And so that's what I think is really important here, Stephen. So I appreciate how open your doors are. I appreciate the relationships and the people I've gotten to know at Anishnabeg Outreach, and please, our love for our sister Tammy and her family in this time as her mother passed to the spirit world. I just feel like I have to say that, and always bring our sisters into these conversations, because as I learned yesterday with a conversation with the aunties, you know, this work has been done and the foundation has been laid out for us. And unfortunately, over the years, you know, there have been organizations and programs and people, unfortunately, that have stood in the way. And I really believe wholeheartedly that they don't. Most of them don't do it on purpose. You know, they don't
Yeah.
stand in the way on purpose, right? So, and that's one thing I love about Indigenous ways of being is that it's just a natural understanding that we open our arms to everyone, whether it be from healing or learning or growing, all of those things. So I'm really grateful to have shared space and to have been able to share your event tomorrow. And we're going to be sharing it on our platform on Grandmother's Voice. We're going to share your live events. I think that's so important. What you've created over there and what Gerard does is important. So, your Earth Day, we'll share the your link. Actually, I'm going to put that right now in the link. If you guys all want to close up and have anything else to say, Sherry and Stephen, I'm going to share some links here.
Yeah, it's just been wonderful. Like, you know, it's how important it is because we've had conversations too, Steve, in the past where, you know, it has been very challenging in Halton to try and build something. And, you know, with, you know, people actually standing in our way. And I think they've done it on purpose because they maybe, you know, who knows, right? It's just my own thought. But nonetheless, it's, you know, when we move the people aside, and we just take charge and we're starting to do stuff. It's amazing how much we've accomplished in the last few months when knowing that we have this space. And you know, we're starting it with just a dream, just like Anishnabeg Outreach, where you opened up that church or bought the building and had those dreams and visions of how you wanted and your partner wanted it as well. And it's just, and look at what you've accomplished in 3 years. You know, from the start of of losing all the funding to where you are now to having this gorgeous building. And, you know, we're so honored and humble that, you know, you're giving us some medicine for, you know, which is also a reciprocity thing, right? You know, that we're going to work with you, you're going to work with us, and, you know, and building and solidifying those with plants, you know, because we'll be reminded every day when we go out there, those plants that are in the ground will remind us of that partnership and relationship that we started with you. So thank you very much for joining us today. It's been wonderful to have a chat with you.
I'm going to give you a quick tour of my great room that we built, just so you can see what it looks like. And it's just around the corner, so I just have to disconnect my computer for a second.
Awesome. While you do that too, I'd like to acknowledge as well that I love the knowledge too. You know, when you meet another entrepreneur, somebody else that's in that go stage, you know, or in that building and moving, and it's just like, yeah, come along for the ride. Oh, this is how I did it, and this is what we do, and because when you're in the space that we're in right now, building, you know, creating this space for our community to come forward, the more contacts we have when our community, that's nice.
Which
We're I think it's reversed.
Yeah, no, I'm taking you around.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I said because it said Tammy. It said Tammy in lots of pictures, so I was thinking of her there.
Okay. Yeah, this is our. We're doing a ceremony on Friday, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, this is our. This used to be a. It used to be a. I'm not sure where the picture is for it. There's the picture right there. So this is what it used to be. And I'll show you what it is now. So we renovated the entire building. So now what it is it's a boardroom for us. There's a whiteboard, boardroom table, and all the other stuff. And then this was our front area, but unfortunately we ran out of space for our spirit bundles. I forgot to talk about spirit bundles. This is just one of our freezers for the spirit bundles. I think we have like 8 of them in total. We do deliveries to families, and these are just donations that came in last night. And then when I go into this room, this is our, well, we'll start over here. That used to be the altar. These chairs here are actually part of the vaccination clinics and just some of the things that have been given to us over the time. These are our grandfather teachings. This big table along here is a live edge walnut table that's 40 feet long. Just our canoe, that's part of our vaccinations. Tables, we built all of our own furniture. We did actually all of our own woodwork too. So what you see here, I'll back up a bit for a second, just so you can see it. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, we'll sign you up for that too, Steve. We're going to sign you up for that too as well.
Yeah, it was like a church before, but now when you look at it, it's just a glorious great room for things. This is our tech hub for people, our fitness stuff, some of our tables. This table I actually call sitting at the Grand. There's actually sort of that polymer in there. It's an oak table, and of course the legs we had custom made also for it. And then just the rest of our space here. And then in behind here, more freezers, of course. This is our warehouse that we set up back at the beginning of the pandemic. And we're doing deliveries today and tomorrow, so it's in a bit of a state of mess at the moment. Basically, it fills up every week, and then we deliver out every week. And we've delivered out, I think, about $500,000 worth of stuff since we started. It was quite incredible. And it's food, it's clothing, it's furniture, it's sports equipment, sports like bikes and things that get donated in, and we donate it out to hundreds of families in need. And
hey,
that was
show us your ceiling. Show us the ceiling.
Oh, this ceiling?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was my hand again. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just a glorious,
so beautiful,
glorious space. And we built the floor ourselves. We built all the walls. We built everything. I have to say, I did not enjoy doing the woodwork at the top. It's about a 40 or 45 foot ceiling or something. Yeah, but we didn't have a lot of money, but we had time and we had skills, so we just built it all. Then outside, actually, I'll show you outside. It's worthwhile seeing outside.
Yes, show us our new plants.
Oh, I can show you those
our new
too.
medicine. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I forgot those actually.
Since we're doing on the tour, I really like this place. This is great.
There's a waterfall that we're putting in over there. There's a hill here that we built, but there's the healing lodge as well as the teaching lodge. And these giant stones here are actually, there's 14 of them. There's 7 grandmothers and 7 grandfather stones that are all around the property. And then behind the teaching lodge, which is the bigger of the two, is that 125-foot Wampum Trail. Yeah. And we have just these giant pine trees that are oozing medicine for us all the time. This is our spirit maple right here that gives us babies every spring that we plant around the region. Oh, and our medicine rocks. So those are the ones we use for the healing lodge. Yes, I'll show you the medicine though, because it's just around the corner. That was a good call. Hopefully, I don't lose you.
Oh wow!
So
beautiful.
There's sweetgrass, and here's all the sage plants.
Beautiful.
And then later on, when they grow, they turn into those things, like they turn into giant sage plants.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, more of our gardens and our rock gardens. Another one of our tables. I might have. This is the early on half where we do vaccinations, and there's the kitchen part. And then there's I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to reach you or not. We'll try. I have 2 different internets here. So right now I think they're doing yoga in our nature room. So you may or may not see it. Yeah, there we go. With the dog. So we have an indoor room here. Can you see that? Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and we have a yoga studio too. But we'll try to get there. And of course, we've got the fireplace and things like that. Our yoga studio is full of stuff right now, though.
That's beautiful. Those are great things that that is underway at Anishnabeg Outreach. And you know, when we're not in COVID any longer, we'll be able to definitely go out there and you know, and see all the greatness that Anishnabeg Outreach has created over there. And we'll definitely take definitely take whoever is interested in going on a road trip. So
yes,
of course. And I'll just switch this camera around. Where's Karen?
Well, thank you, Steve, for the wonderful tour.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was really great. I look forward to following your live tomorrow from 7 a.m. I might set a timer for that one. But anyway, thank you. We have some people, you can come back and check out our Facebook, and you'll see some of the comments in there. And if you'd like to, you're definitely easy for you to jump in the conversation, Stephen, and just kind of fill people in. They've asked questions about how long you've been there, and and just some other little comments here that you can go back and connect with. But thank you so much for your time. I really do. We appreciate the support that we get from our partners, and I think it's so important that that people come together and really create these spaces, because it's not just about, it's just like where we are in society right now, and everybody questioning, and why are we doing this diversity and inclusion and equity work? And we're like, well, you know, if they really paid attention, you know, thousands of years ago when they showed up in the 2-row, and, you know, we would be in the place we're in right now. We would understand this. So you're right. I think being able to create sustainable programming, sustainable relationships, offer gifts to each other, like, you know, it's time to just really support. And I use this terminology a lot, and it's not me. People that know me is, you know, I'm usually straight from the heart and the hip, but, you know, liberation is what I'm thinking right now in my community, right? The Indigenous people, like, we've shown up at the tables, we've supported programmings, and we know that everybody's just been doing what they, you know, they're conditioned to do, right? We try to do the best we can. It's time now to move it forward, and grandmother's voice is moving forward. And so we are asking for any support, bodies, come, you know, tell people about us, share the content, ask us what you know, tell us what you need. And so I think that it's really good. We think alike a lot in those ways, Stephen, that it's important to engage and make sure we have programs for all people. So thank you for taking us on that tour. Let's stay in touch. We'll again, we'd love to come out, but, you know, COVID's got us locked down, but we're going to be with you in spirit. We'll be with you in spirit and sharing that.
Yeah, very much so. And please, if anyone wants to join any of our programs on Zoom or whatever, just send an email to whoever manages it. Like, it's either Kate or Jesselyn, or Jess, and either one will work.
Yeah, we'll be signing up.
Yeah, I can't tell you, I absolutely love them. I have to admit, I don't really enjoy the 7 a.m. one that much, because I know tomorrow morning I'm probably getting up at 5 because we have to start the fire and stuff. But other than that, it's there's just so much learning.
Renewing.
Renewing, healing.
Yeah.
And rejoicing, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Connected to culture in a way that you didn't know before, because our teacher or our knowledge keeper provides things that are just so old or ancient that it's nice to see all those elements. As you learn little bits here and little bits there.
Well, wonderful. Anyway, we'll have
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you so much. Say goodbye and
thanks so much for
everyone. Happy Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, everyone. Plant something, prepare, go out to the land, give your love and offerings.
Yeah, and if people want to, please bring tobacco tomorrow. If you're going to join us, bring seeds and bring 4 ribbons, and you'll be able to participate in the ceremony wherever you happen to be.
Thank you.
Hear that later.
Yes.
Yeah. Bye.